Welcome to the 13th video in this multi-part series on how and why to cool down your twin cam and Milwaukee 8 engine. I'm Kevin, the K and DK Custom Products, and we're going to go over a quick recap of what we've covered so far in this multi-part series. The first 7 videos were about why it's important to cool down your twin cam and Milwaukee 8 engine. The videos after that are how to cool down your twin cam Milwaukee 8 engine. And we've gone over, I think, 5 or 6. We have a few more to go. None of these things are real big changes, but they're all little changes. But when you add it up together, it makes a pretty big difference in getting that temperature down from 300, 325 down to 230, which is our target temperature. Now we're going to get into the meat of this video. Today we're going to talk about 2 things. One is an oil filter relocation, and the other is a permanent oil filter. So first of all, on the oil filter relocation, even though we're talking about it in terms of cooling down the bike, that's not why we developed it. After years and years and hundreds of oil changes, trying all different methodologies, and there's 100 different methodologies for pulling that filter out without it leaking all over everything. Some of them work better than others, but virtually every time there ended up being some sort of an oily mess. So, what Deb and I sat down to do is figure out a way to change the oil filter without it being any kind of a mess. Because we wanted to be able to change the oil filter without making a mess, we came up with the oil filter relocation. And there's 2 different designs. One for baggers and trikes that goes underneath the floorboard, passenger floorboard, right there, oil filter relocation. And the other for other bikes mounts right off the front left down tube. Works really well for a nice, easy oil change, no mess, fast, no reaching in there and trying to get it and not have all kind of a mess. And the side benefit is it lowers the temperature 8 to 10 degrees. The reason it lowers the oil temperature 8 to 10 degrees is because not only is that oil filter now out in the wind, but also it's no longer in front right next to the hot engine. And having the oil filter actually getting radiant heat from the engine being only that far away from the engine. So it makes for an easier oil change, not a mess, and lowers the temperature 8 to 10 degrees of the oil, and obviously has a beneficial effect on engine temperature. When using an oil filter relocation kit, you can obviously use the same oil filters you're using. You can use any K&N filter, Harley filter, or you can use a permanent filter like we use on our bikes. So any filter that you're using now, you can continue using with the oil filter relocation. We like using a permanent oil filter. It's superior filtration to the paper filters that use a nominal micron rating. This uses an absolute micron rating. It filters much, much better, and there's less drag on the oil pump. The oil pump, which is circulating the oil through the engine, runs off of the power of the engine. So the harder that the oil pump has to work, the harder that the engine has to work. Harder the engine works, the more heat it generates. And so by using a permanent oil filter, you're going to have less drag on your oil pump. You're going to have less power being shunted off to the oil pump and end up with more power at the rear tire. So, and also, obviously, it'll be able to run cooler if it's having less drag on the oil pump. The other benefit of a permanent oil filter is after about 10 oil changes, you're cost neutral. A permanent oil filter costs more than a regular paper oil filter, but you get to use it over and over and over and over again. So around the 10th oil change, you've paid for that permanent oil filter. I have an oil filter that's on my other bike that's been on like 3 different bikes. It probably has 250,000 miles on it, and it looks just as good and works just as well today, 250,000 miles later, as the day it was new. The oil filter relocation, whether you have the one mounted under the passenger floorboard or up off the down tube, is good for an 8 to 10 degree drop in temperatures. The next and one of the most important videos in this series is on oil coolers. That's coming up. If you enjoyed the video, if you liked it, if you found it useful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'd appreciate it. Share this video with your friends. They might find it interesting or useful. And definitely hit the notification bell so you know when we come out with the next video. Y'all ride safe out there.